Our first live speaker for the day, ladies and gentlemen, is none other than our own Swamini Brahma Pragyananda ji. She is a direct student of Pujya Swami Dayanand Saraswati. She also studied for 12 years under Swami Brahmavidananda. She has studied Sanskrit, Vedanta, and Vedic chanting at the Arsha Vidya Gurukulam at Coimbatore and Rishikesh. She is the author of a book, You Matter, Insights from Vedanta. She lives in Mumbai and conducts regular online courses. She also runs a podcast, which is called Vedanta, the River of Wisdom, and runs various workshops and retreats, both along with Swami Brahmavidananda and by herself as well. She has just taken on a new assignment, and this I don't think too many people know about, so it's breaking news, as the news channel would say. Is she is going to be conducting an online course called Living Our Swadharma in a Contemporary World. And this course is for the Hindu University of America, HUA, and that starts in Jan. So congratulations, Swamini, for, and many students are going to benefit from the fact that she's going to conduct this course. I would like to say that I know Swamini a little more than a lot of people, because we have worked now for 4 years very closely on the Vedic Wisdom Festival, apart from the other times when we meet. But during the Vedic Wisdom Festival, what happens is there is an intensive 1-month interaction with Swamini, as far as I'm concerned. And if I think about, Swamini and the interactions we've had, certain words pop up in my mind. I thought I'll share that with you. I think the words that pop up in my mind are extremely brave, very passionate about everything she does. She's very focused. She's got an extreme eye for detail, a very sharp intellect. And behind all that is a very compassionate and kind human being. Welcome, Swamini Brahma Pragyananda. And she is going to talk to us about learning for life from the Bhagavad Gita.
Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kamsachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. In a couple of days, we will be celebrating Bhagavad Gita Jayanti, the day that the Bhagavad Gita was revealed by Bhagavan to Arjuna, and then of course to all of us. And so as a part of the celebration, I thought it would be nice for us to see how Bhagavad Gita is the best teller of all times, not best seller, but the best teller, because Bhagavan himself has revealed timeless teachings to all of us. A couple of days ago, on the Google search page, a video popped up, and it was about the most searched words in 2021. And you can guess what these might be. How to stay strong, how to be resilient. And mind you, these were typed in all languages. How to help the community. What is my purpose? When is the next COVID wave? And so on. And it's interesting to note that if these are the most searched words, then everyone is struggling to cope with this crisis. And whenever we face a crisis, we start to question everything. It starts with questioning one or two things, but then it snowballs into us questioning many other things in our life. And in this whole pandemic, what we have experienced is that everything that we held on to for the sake of stability gave way. We held on to a steady job. Some of us lost jobs. Some of us were asked to take a pay cut. For some, the company closed down, and very few made a lot of money. We held on to good health. Then some of us got COVID, some died, some survived and thrived. We held on to stable relationships, and a lot of us experienced the loss of loved ones. We held on to travel for recreation, for pleasure, and all of that. And here we were, all of us imprisoned in our own homes, and for some people in rented apartments away from their families, struggling to cope. Even going out in public, even meeting strangers was rendered with a loss of trust, because everybody was looked at and continues to be looked at with some suspicion, because what if this person is carrying the virus? So all that we held on to for stability, for security, we found all of that shaken. And Arjuna, an accomplished warrior, also found himself shaken. His crisis was perhaps more difficult than ours. What he had held on to for security, for stability, his own grandfather, Bhishma, his teacher, Drona, are on the opposite side. And he's not afraid of war, but in the middle of the battlefield, he does not want to fight. And it's not born out of fear. It is born out of a certain viveka, thinking that even if I win, the victory is not going to be enough. If I lose, again, what's the point of all of this? If I were to get the 3 worlds, that is also not enough to satisfy my heart. What shall I do? So that feeling of being stuck, whether you get something or you don't get it, what am I supposed to do? And here is where Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha. He recognizes that he needs help. And he declares himself to be a Shishya. Shishyasteham shadi mam tvam prapannam. He tells Bhagwan Krishna that I am your Shishya and I want Shreyas. I also am little dharma sammuda chetaha. I am very confused about my dharma. I don't know what to do. And at the same time, I also see that my heart wants more. So this Bhagavad Gita, which is really the song of Bhagavan, is a set of 700 verses collected and reported by Bhagavan Veda Vyasa. Madhye Mahabharatam, in the middle of Mahabharata, what's it about? Advaita Amrita Varshini. So of course it is not the time of rains, but we are always being showered by Amrita, by this nectar of Advaita non-duality. That all that is here is you, is something to be recognized. And Bhagavad Gita, therefore, then becomes a Moksha Shastra as well as a Yoga Shastra. Arjuna's situation, and pretty much our situation also, is that no matter how much we struggle, no matter what I have, how much I have, the nagging thing that we cannot shake off is I don't have enough. I am not enough. A sense of inadequacy. And it's not got anything to do with an inferiority complex. This is because of the identification of being a human being, which is a limited form. Of course, one is going to feel inadequate. There's no way one can escape it. Neither can Elon Musk escape it. Of course, he would like to escape to Mars and take a few people along. But the struggle of becoming is something that we all must recognize. And what is important about the Bhagavad Gita is to see what Bhagavan Krishna did and also what he did not do. Bhagavan Krishna, when Arjuna surrendered to him, did not offer Arjuna a mantra. Bhagavan Krishna did not give him Reiki or pranic healing. Bhagavan Krishna did not give Arjuna past life regression analysis. He did not take him to past life. See, that's why you have to go through this karma. He did not check where the Kundalini is stuck and suggest any remedy to him. Neither did he bless him for victory. And he said, you know what, don't worry, I bless you for victory, just fight. No, he didn't give him any siddhis. He did not give him any tips on war strategy. And of course, he did not say, shut up. Now, we'll talk after the battle. This is not the time to talk about these issues, about you being a Shishya and you wanting Shreyas. Like, come on, we can do this later. None of it. And that's the beauty of the tradition, that when there is a genuine question, which is born out of a quest, I want to know why I'm here. And I'm glad some of you asked yesterday, what is the purpose of my life? Is really recognizing that, yes, we can cope with the immediate situation, but it's pointing to a more fundamental question of why am I here and why am I stuck and what do I do and why am I not enough? I was talking to this 7-year-old boy, Arjun, and I saw him watching young Sheldon. So I said, Arjun, I see that it is for 13 plus people. Little boys don't watch young Sheldon. And he said, no, Bua, I am not little boy. I'm a big boy. I can watch. Children are in a rush to grow up. Adults want to play. You talk to anyone for a few minutes. How are you? After, how are you? And you say, well, life is great, or life sucks, or everything's okay, but I have this persistent backache. Or everything is okay, but I don't know when this pandemic is going to end. So the specifics may be different, but the sense of things are not okay as they are is our experience in the different stages of life. And so when we talk about a learning for life from the Bhagavad Gita, we first have an overview of what are the stages of life. And again, these are different in different cultures, but more or less 20s to 30s, you are consolidating your education, you're trying to establish a career and possibly have a partner, deciding whether to marry or not. Nowadays, a lot of youngsters come to me and they say they are also exploring their sexuality. So they don't know whether they are bi or homo or whatever, So 20s to 30s, all this figuring out is happening. 30s to 40s, establishing the career, having children, looking after children. 40s to 50s, midlife crisis. So even if you have a haircut or a makeover, still questions loom large. Is there more to life? And of course, some health issues will come up. Then coping with aging parents also is a highlight in that stage. 50s to 60s. If you've had children, then the children are in the process of leaving or they've flown the nest. Career is okay, but what next? 60s onwards is a challenge of utility and productivity. What's the point? I'm not being productive. What's the purpose? So, if we are looking at all stages of our life with the many milestones, it seems like we want specific things, but really, in wanting those specific things, I want to be free from seeking. I don't want to have this self non-acceptance. I don't want to have inadequacy. I want to figure out my place in the world. And so, in all these stages, there is a tension between security and independence. I want security also, I want independence also. There is a tension between what is important and urgent, because again, so many roles, so many responsibilities, what to focus on. There is a tension between letting go and holding on, a tension between needs and wants, a tension between scarcity, how much is enough? It's a very important question to ask at different stages. There is a tension between dharma and adharma, dharma kshetre kurukshetre. That this kshetra, this field, is not in Kurukshetra. The dharma kshetra is your mind. And what is that kshetra having this conversation about? What is the right thing to do? At every stage of life, I want to be happy, I want to be successful. And so there is one shloka that I want to focus on, and which I hope will be your takeaway, which is something I hope you will also memorize if you don't already know it. And it is the shloka from 18th chapter. It very beautifully summarizes Karma Yoga. Yatah pravrittir bhutanam yena sarvamidam tatam svakarmana tamabhyarcha siddhim vindati manavaha. I'm going to repeat it several times, different aspects of it. So whatever be the stage of life, what can we learn from the Bhagavad Gita that will apply to all the stages? Whether you are 25 or 65 or 85. Swakarmana, swadharma, that is something to be understood. That the definition of success according to the Bhagavad Gita is not how much money you have, not how much pleasure you have gained, or which places, countries are stamped on your passport, including Swarga. The criteria for success is the one who is a mature person, who has what we also technically call Antakarna Shuddhi. That is a siddhi, accomplishment. And how does one get that? By doing one's swakarma. And this swakarma is really another word for swadharma. By doing one's karma, swa, your own karma, not somebody else's karma because the grass is greener on the other side, you gain success. So let's unpack it. Dharma again has many meanings, but for now we will look at dharma, that which is a universal framework of values such as justice, compassion, kindness, productivity, and so on. So I don't care for dharma. Why are you talking about that? You know why? Because life involves relating. And if I have to relate to anyone, some norms are required. And luckily for us, Bhagwan, aham sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishtaha. I am present in everyone's heart. In many, many ways, but definitely as the voice of dharma. Again, I went over to my nephew's place. So he was playing with his Lego blocks, and 15 minutes had passed, and he was very busy making a castle for Harry Potter. So then I was, of course, watching him with great delight. And then I said, Bua has come to your house. You are playing with Lego. Fill in the blanks. Just for fun. And then I pretended to be a little sad. I said, oh, and fill in the blanks. And so our fellow, he says, and Bua is sad because I am not playing with her. I said, you got it. So now this little fellow has empathy, that he knows that, if somebody is present and I'm not playing with that person, then maybe that person won't like it, because everyone likes to play. So of course I pretended to be more sad and all. And then with his little hands, on my little hands, he's saying, no, Bua, it's okay. We will play together. Which blocks you want? You also take these blocks. Now, this is very important because empathy is not something you go and learn in a university. This is the voice of dharma that is present in every heart, that we immediately connect to different people, to different movies, because we know that all of us want to be accepted. None of us want to be hurt or cheated or humiliated. Religions across the world only confirm what is common sense. But what is common sense is the voice of dharma in every human heart. And so Swadharma includes an understanding of Samanya Dharma. That it's not okay to just wear the t-shirt being human. I have to also be human. Now, this being human is bringing in Samanya Dharma in my life. So in my interactions, not only with them 2 or 3 people in my family, but all beings, to be kind, to be supportive, to be appreciative. This is Samanya Dharma. It is not the Dharma of a saint. Unfortunately, we see it very rarely, and then we say, oh, this person is so nice to everyone. Well, that is expected of everyone, actually. So, Samanya Dharma. This is one part. Then comes Vishesha Dharma, my specific responsibilities, which are not given to me. We must remember, responsibility is not given. It may be given as a part of your role description and some set of responsibilities. That's different. A leader takes responsibility, doesn't wait for responsibility to be given. Of course, if responsibility is given, also executes very well. But Bhagavad Gita is also pointing to the role of leadership in our lives, that all of us can be leaders. All of us can have success. All of us can perform our Swadharma, because that involves being proactive. That involves looking at what needs to be done. And that involves embodying Samanya Dharma in terms of ethical practices. Now, Vishesha Dharma. Vishesha Dharma is recognizing your Vishesha Sthanam what is your specific role, wherever, however you have been born. Definitely you are a son or a daughter, maybe mother or father, partner, employee, brother, sister, pet mom, pet dad, newer responsibilities, And in each of these relationships, there is a role that you are playing. When we say role, we don't mean it as something that is fake. It is a script of dharma. What you are giving to the other person, what are you receiving? Because we want to contribute to people's happiness. As a parent, you want your child to be well-rounded and happy and successful. As a teacher, you would want your student to learn well. So, depending on whatever is the goal of the relationship, and that's an important question to also ask, because we expect moksha from our relationships. So the goal of every relationship is to show your love and care and support for the welfare of the other person, for the happiness of the other person, and for the growth of the other person. This I'm talking in terms of the closer relationships. The specifics may differ. So how you relate to your pet and how you relate to your partner better be different. Otherwise there will be role confusion. You will pet your partner and hug your dog. We don't want that. I mean, of course, you can do both to both of them. But if you are only going to pet your partner, then there will be a problem. So, given that we are already connected to all these different roles, did you create the connection? No. This is by the act of being born, you are connected. Yena sarvamidam tatam. That by which it is pervaded. What we are coming to that. So my swakarma is determined by my connections to different people. Now the question is, how to do, what to do? Gita will remind us, karmani eva adhikaraha. You have a choice with respect to karma. Fantastic. I want my son to be an engineer. What are the likely results? Definitely gets into IIT. Result number 1. Fantastic. I got a result equal to my expectation. Second possibility. Not only did my son get into IIT, but he also has been promised funding by a VC, venture capitalist, for his startup when he begins. Wow. Second type of result, more than my expectation. Very nice. Then he studied and studied, many attempts, JEE, less than expectation, he could not get through. Very disappointed, the whole world is disappointed. I don't have any Shraddha in Bhagavan anymore. Third type of result, less than expectation. And fourth type of result, where my son is quite good looking, he takes after me. So, so he got an offer to act in a Bollywood movie. A result that is totally different from expectation. So now as I perform karma, I could have any of these 4 results. Equal to expectation, less than expectation, more than expectation, or completely different to what I expected. Now, if he's going to act in a Bollywood movie, I'm going to look at my partner saying, what did we do wrong? Ayo Rama, we wanted this fellow to be an engineer. Just look at this. He's so excited. His only goal in life is to be rich and famous. I think he has gone, he's taken after your family, and then the husband and wife will start to fight. And then, of course, the poor boy, he will, of course, amuse himself in other ways. So anyway, the point is, in any role, we perform karma, but all of us are control freaks. We want the results either to be equal to what we expect or more than what we expect. And here is where we recognize that we have not created the laws. The laws that are there are already present and they pervade our world. Yena sarvamidam tatam. The law of karma, that which gives punya papa. So punya papa is unfolding on a daily basis in the form of your sukha dukkha. And so Bhagavan Sri Krishna further teaches us that if you want siddhi, if you want success, learn to be the same. Samatvam, learn to be the same, more or less, siddhi asiddhi, samo bhutva. Samatvam yoga uchyate. That the result of an action, while you expect, and it is in your right to expect, at the most, you are a contributor, never the controller. Why? Because you didn't create the laws. So as the contributor, you can definitely do your best. Nobody's stopping you from doing that. And in all likelihood, as Swami Omkaranandji was saying yesterday, that if you have a process orientation, it is almost likely that you will get good results, depending on your understanding of the laws that shape the project. But it's possible things may not go okay. But learn to not define yourself by the outcome of an experience. I repeat, learn to not define yourself by the outcome of an experience. You know how we say, I've been such a failure. Hey, hello, some event happened which was not according to your expectations, and what a big self-judgment. Hare Rama. Relax. The laws of karma, the events that unfold in our lives, the many laws in terms of the physiological laws, psychological laws. Why do I feel the way I do? There is a very clear connection of cause and effect. And all of that is pervaded, is being shaped by Yataf Pravrittir Bhutanam, by Bhagavan. So that from whom all Akashadi, Akasha, Vayu, Agni, Apa, Prithvi, all the Pancha Mahaphutas have come. And definitely laws of karma have come. The intelligence for this, whatever we are experiencing, Jagat, which of course includes his body, mind, all of that is really Yena Sarvamidam Tatam. It is fully pervaded by Bhagavan. And so therefore, in that understanding, it is very easy to appreciate that whatever results happen, they are all coming from the altar. When you recognize an altar in your life, or when you see that, hey, I was calling all the shots, but actually I wasn't. All that I have has been given to me. So my capacity to think, to reason, to analyze, to synthesize, to put something together, to put things apart, all that is given to me. And when I recognize that, there is surrender. And when I surrender to an altar, I am altered. How am I altered? Because I see that everything is a blessing. This body mind is a blessing. The situations in my life are also a blessing. The people in my life, Some of them are very annoying, but they are a blessing. Why? Because they are the results of choices that were made once upon a time by me, and I am experiencing them as Punya Papa, whatever it is, however you want to classify it. So, all the way, Samatvam Yoga Uchyate, my attitude towards karma in all my relationships, in terms of accepting who people are, why they are, what they are, etc., etc., it relaxes me. This disposition that the Gita teaches us about is really for our sake, because we have a lot of resistance. A lot of our problems are because of our resistance. This one should not be like this. I told you I love you, sit down. What? But love is not supposed to be control, you know. No, I love you. That's why I told you to sit down. It is very good for you, you know. Sorry. Your child will leave your hand as soon as the child starts walking. You want to hold on, but no, I am independent. So this attitude of prasada, which is very much there very beautifully in the culture, that whatever you get, whether you go to Tirupati or you go to Kedarnath or you go to Rameshwaram, you might get Tirtha, or you may get Bhasma, you may get Bilva, you may get a Laddu, you may not get anything, you know, because you're long queue and then you don't get anything. But you might get darshan, or you may not get. Either way, just being close to that sannidhi, that sanctum sanctorum, that garbhagraha, I am blessed. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya upajayate. The attitude of samatva, which the Gita teaches us, which we can apply in all stages of life. It is not to be applied only when you are 85. All the way, that I accept what is given. I see what is. I don't resist it. The mind is made tranquil. Prasada. Prasada is not just one laddu. Prasada is your mind, you know. It's fully pervaded by the attitude of gracious acceptance and the natural cheerfulness. And as a result of which, dukkha, hanihi asya upajayate, there is no pain, there is no sorrow. So this thing we also experience in our interactions with people, that the greatest gift you can give them is an acceptance of them. And you know, when you ask anyone, what is so special about that person, and they will say, you know, that person just lets me be. Fantastic. Now some of you will argue, but what do you mean? You know, how can we accept everything? Then that means we are passive. Hold on. Commit yourself to kaushala. You know, this mosquito Puja Swamiji was referring to, Ishvara biting Ishvara. This mosquito and any other being has been given Shaktis. This is also Bhagavad Shakti. You all might be knowing that female Anopheles mosquito is pregnant. She needs blood, and you are doing blood donation when the mosquito bites. Now the mosquito, of course, needs blood. Mosquito has Ichha Shakti. I want blood for my child. Okay. So has definitely desire. Then Jnana Shakti mosquito has, because the mosquito is not going to bite you somewhere near your hand where you can swat it away. Nope. It will go to one corner and it's likely to go somewhere near your feet. If you have a flexible body, then of course you can shoo it away. But by the time we get to the foot, then mosquito has bitten you very nicely. And of course, the desire is there for the mosquito to feed the baby. And jnanam is also there, where exactly I have to bite this person. The mosquito acts on the knowledge. Kriya Shakti is there. So, so the mosquito and all other beings, all beings, of course, human being included, we are all blessed with these three Shaktis. And so if there is something that needs changing, something where you have to perform your responsibility towards another person, then of course, please bring in all of these Shaktis. You know, the world is your playground. Do all of it. Tasmad yogaya yujyasva. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. May you have kaushalam. May you have a certain effectiveness, competence in understanding dharma and applying it in the way in which you perform your karma. People translate kaushalam as skill in action, which is not correct, because by that definition, a cyber criminal is a great karma yogi, but is not ethical, correct? So, kaushalam, how I interact, what I do for my parents, for my partner, for my children, for my employees, for the teacher, for the student, how do I do karma that is in line with dharma? What can I do to contribute? In all relationships, a lot of us are either partner obsessed, that's generally 20s to 30s, okay? Then we become child obsessed. Everything for the child. What are you doing? Are you eating your tiffin? This, that, the other. Then sometimes we can become parent obsessed also. So, did you take your medicines? Did you check your glucose, etc., etc.? So, every stage we can get obsessed very easily. But the Gita teaches us that you be dharma centered. By being centered on dharma, you can fulfill all your relationships and you can maintain a dynamic balance. Because if you don't maintain that, then according to the stage of your life, let's say you have 2 children, but you want to attend 5 Vedanta classes in a week. Not appropriate. If anyone comes to me like this, I will say no. Of course, some people have already experienced it. 1 or 2 classes max, not more than that. Why? Because you have taken on the responsibility of being a mother or a father. Your children need your time and attention. On the other hand, if a 65-year-old comes to me and says, you know, my child doesn't respond to me, I'm calling like 6 times a day. Did you eat? I had kept something in the fridge. Did you get that home delivery I sent you? Hey, hello, relax. So at that stage of your life, back off. Your child needs space, doesn't need you to call 6 times a day, you know. So depending on age and stage of life, the maturity that this living a life of karma yoga can give is that siddhihi antakarana shuddhihi. And because of this, in all your relationships, you know, where one is not at the cost of the other, it's not easy. Performing your dharma, doing what is the right thing to be done to contribute to the happiness and the growth of the other person is not easy, but we have to figure it out. And luckily for us, dharma is very much in our heart. So we can always figure it out. And, you know, if you don't understand, just ask the other person what the other person needs from you and just do it. In all likelihood, it will work out well. So all these laws that are present, laws that you are aware of, laws that you are not aware of, yena sarvamidam tatam, all of it has come from that Yataf pravrittir bhutanam, that from which all beings have come, all laws have come. And how do you relate to that? Yataha, tataha, that shabda pointing to Ishvara. Tam abhyarcha, you are offering your worship. How? But I don't know how to do proper puja. No worries. By you performing your swadharma, your swakarma, tam abhyarcha, you are offering flowers, you are offering gandha and camphor and all that, because you see that what you had held on to as me and mine are just words. All that is here is Ishvara. That this Jagat is nothing but a manifestation of Ishvara. And so Bhagwan Krishna reminds us, because we might just gloss over this. He will say, Paurusham Rishu, the strength in the human beings, I am that. Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu, I am the life in all human beings. Buddhimatam Asmi, I am the Buddhihi, I am the intellect in the people who are discriminated. And you know what? That kamaha that is there in your heart that bothers you, if it is in line with dharma aviruddha kamaha aham asmi, I am that. Don't worry, go all out. If you have desires, just little bit align with dharma, and then of course bring in karma yoga. Then rasohamapsu, I am the rasaha, the taste in water that quenches you, that no other drink can do, that I am that. Shashi suryayoho prabha, I am the light in the moon and the sun. Punya gandhaha, I am the sweet fragrance in the earth. Ke shabdaha, I am the sound in space. I am Rik, I am Sama, I am Yajurveda, I am the cause, I am the effect, Sat, Asat. Like that, one long list he will give us across the Gita, for us to appreciate that what is here is Bhagavan, and we see that we are ever connected. You don't need special Wi-Fi connection, always connected. And then further, we also understand as a part of Vishesha Dharma, it's not just about my relationships with my family and my immediate circle, but I am related with 5 sets of relationships. So one, of course, is human beings, but also the community, the neighborhood, because I also happen to have the role as a citizen. So Manushya Yajnaha, what can I do to contribute? That is my Swadharma. And here, all of us, depending on our backgrounds, will resonate with some causes. Some people will want to do work with, for welfare of animals. Some people will want to contribute to healthcare. Some people will say, you know what, I can do great marketing. So any cause, I will share the word. Some people say, no, I want to create some innovation for sanitizers, or I want to create some innovation in some services. So you can be an entrepreneur. We are not talking only about non-profit causes, but all of us feel compelled to act according to the skills that we have and the causes that are dear to us. And that can be your Manushya Yajna. It's very interesting that in 3rd chapter, there is a very nice verse related to Devatas. Okay, so Tairdattan aprada yebhyaha yo bhungte stena eva saha is very funny also, which really means the one who enjoys yo bhungte, objects that are given by Devatas without offering anything to them in return is called a thief. Okay, a thief, because obviously a thief, suppose somebody wants to steal, he's not going to walk into your house and say, please give me all your jewelry and whatever money you have. And thank you very much. No, he will take stuff that doesn't belong to him and enjoy the spoils of the day. Correct? So our relationship with our devatas is being pointed out to here. So Vayu continues to blow and water continues to quench. Prithvi continues to be solid and stable, except for some few shrugs as earthquakes and maybe volcanoes. And gravity continues, we're not falling off the earth despite us spinning at a crazy speed. We are all held in orbit. If there is one word to describe this Srishti, it is awesome. How things work, the way they work, it's really awesome. Because it just evokes wonder in you. How does this happen? And there are all these devatas who are continuously blessing us. So how do I honor devatas? That is a part of my responsibility. It is a sacred duty, along with acknowledging, honoring, contributing to Manushyaha, Manushya Yajnaha, especially people who are, not so fortunate. Because of course, for our families, we do. And there again, we need to have some balance. So Manushya Yajnaha, Deva Yajnaha, our ancestors, we have inherited our genes, GENES, maybe JEANS also. And we have inherited so many family traditions, perhaps wealth. And we are here because of our ancestors, from our pitras, Mata Pita onwards. So how do I honor that relationship? How do I take forward the learning that has been given to me? Astrologically, we know that a lot of people suffer from Pitra dosha because they have not honored their ancestors enough. And therefore, they experience a lot of difficulties in many, many areas of their life. And it might be that either they immediately or few other people, their parents and so on, may not have honored the ancestors according to certain rituals, certain offerings that are to be made. So that's a third set of relationships. The fourth set of relationships is with our rishis, with our teachers, with this Vedic culture. What is our contribution to this Vedic culture? Because we are the recipients of it. You say, oh, but I don't even know which are the four Vedas. Well, if you chant a mantra, if you have any familiarity with meditation, if you have an understanding of karma, if you are interested in going to Svarga, if you are studying Vedanta, you have a connection with the rishis. It may not be obvious to you, but all that you have has been given to you because of their love and generosity. And so we honor it because this dharma is upheld by the principle of reciprocity. If you just take and don't give, then we see what has happened to the climate because of this attitude of ours. Our attitude to plants and animals and the environment to cause the least amount of injury is a very important one, Bhuta Yajna. We don't have to look any further than the extent of pollution at all levels, air pollution, water pollution, and so on, to see the havoc that we have caused. We have just taken and not given. For all the trees that we cut, are we planting enough? These are all questions to be asked, and there is so much to do. If we are looking for things to do, and if you're looking for purpose of life, then in terms of your Swadharma, there are so many causes to work on. So our relationships and therefore our responsibilities towards Manushyaha, towards Bhuta, plants and animals, towards our Pitras, ancestors, towards Devatas, deities, and towards Rishis. These are not optional. What you do in each of this is yatha shakti. According to your own capacity, you can decide how much and so on. But all of this is a part of my swadharma. And so I now, by recognizing all these connections, I am now a bhaktaha, I am a devotee. I see my connection with Bhagavan always, and therefore, siddhim vindati manavaha. I gain success because now I have gained a maturity, a relaxation, a happiness that all is well and I am doing my swakarma. The purpose of my life is clear to me in every stage, and I prepare myself to discover the truth of who I really am while I gain siddhi, while I gain antakarna shuddhi, because then I just have to make a slight switch to looking at what is the swarupa of this manifestation of this Bhagavan, and hey, it's me. So Tattvamasi becomes very, very clear. But we cannot bypass Swadharma. And so at every age, every stage in life, success is doing my Swadharma. By me honoring all the relationships in my life, by contributing, and by being an instrument, nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin, as Bhagwan Krishna said, be an instrument, let things happen through you as you worship Bhagavan, me, through all your actions, your swakarma. Om Tat Sat. So I see there are quite a few questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Swamini. As usual, crystal clear. Absolutely no doubt. In the mind, there are questions, but those questions are pertaining to associated doubts they have with what you've said, not with what the content of what you've said. And I think we will take the questions later. We have a half an hour slot because we have Dr. Chitra Madhavan waiting at 11:30. So, and I think we need a 15-minute break. But Swamini, engaging, crystal clear, and simple, which is what sort of describes you as well. So, thank you so much for a great session.